stuff at my last business, they'll get to see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I even, with the age gap, I run into some young men that know who I am from YouTube and shit. And that's really cool. Like the other day I was rapping with a guy in California, and he's just excited to tell me he's going to the like a Lexus high school program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
You know, because like one of the things that car people do as they age is they say like, you know, dying breed, all these kids care about is iPads. And it's like, no, man, the car kids are out there still. They're just small in numbers, just like us.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away.
No, it changes. It just changes. Right. Like the guys with the screwdrivers.
Bro, imagine if we live long enough to see front engine dragsters come back. Crude 60s front engine dragsters, because it's the cheapest way to go fast. And danger's high.
Yeah. The danger is definitely high. That's terrifying watching those things.
But where else can you get a ride like that?
Nowhere. I mean, you can make a dragster with like some tubes in your garage with any engine.
Right. But you don't have your nuts on the diff.
That's always steered me away a little bit, though, I would say.
Well, right, but
maybe just personally, though. That's a personal issue.
That's why a lot of people have to go faster. Because as you go faster, you're chasing the dragon. But if you have a car that is the dragon, you accept it for what it is.
Do you truly believe that, though? Because you're a salt flat guy. So there's always that next level. I mean, you look at Jessie, right? And she just was chasing that endlessly.
Right, but that wasn't... I don't think she knew what she was chasing. So I've already done, are we doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to not have this, but let me give you a quick intro. So, guys, for people that don't know, Jay, he's been around for as long as I can remember being a car guy. I've seen, Jay tech tip videos from Real Street. I think about Real Street and I think like the Supra. I think I was talking to Jim about this yesterday. I was like, when I think of Real Street, I think of silver Supra, Real Street sticker on the lip.
Right.
Like that's like the picture in my brain.
Yeah.
And I think about seeing those cars with the gigantic turbo and just being kind of like in awe because it was ahead of its time, but yet it still holds up now, 10 years later to like that is like the epitome of what could be done still almost. And it's like, I don't know, maybe that's the not right way to intro you, but it's just things that were on my mind when we first started talking about doing this.
No, and you I look back on that car, like over the weekend, someone sent me a 790 at 180 time slip, JZ powered thing.
Yeah.
And in my current knowledge base, I would say like things got half a second in it easy, because it's like it should be easy. Like if you have a good converter, and your program is okay, it should go 750s pretty easy.
Yeah.
But going back to that silver car, that car was owned by a guy named Dave Warren, who passed away, but taught me a bunch of stuff as he was dying, because he was dying over a course of a number of years.
Yeah.
And I sat with him the night before he passed, and I said, "Hey man, one day I'm going to be there. Like, what do I need to know?" And it was really an interesting conversation, But the car, go back to the car. It was fun to have access to an 8685 Precision and nitrous and a Turbo 400 and a Motec box, because I was messing with other brands back then still.
Yeah.
And when you mess with other brands, you end up with a kind of a salad bar that you're trying to make fine dining out of.
Is this like 2012, 13-ish?
Yeah, it's not that the menu's bad, but if you're going to do fine dining, you have to have the right ingredients. Yeah. And the Motec is just one of the ingredients. It just is.
Yeah.
So, that was pretty cool because Dave had already put the Motec on the car before Gio bought it.
Is that just like a gold box at the time, too?
Yeah. Okay. But it has, a gold box. A gold box at the time, is aside from it's got pretty crude idle control, really holds its own to most modern stuff, and that was a 2001 product.
Yeah.
So it was a real motorsports grade component compared to most things were built off of knowing the market they were trying to sell into and the price point they must have met and the marketing budget that they were going to spend to get there. Well, Motec really never had a marketing budget. They
still don't.
Right. The product is the product.
Yeah. You never you won't see Motec signs anywhere really or stickers on cars.
But when you get people to convert, they're like, oh man, this is really good. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's really, because I remember I was coming home one night and I got home. My wife was like, what are you pissed off about? I'm like, man, I got these cars that they can't be fixed. And the ECU company is telling me a year now. She said, she was in the restaurant business. So she said, it sounds like you're trying to run a restaurant buying bad fish. And she goes, you never complain about the Motec. Why don't you just work on the Motec? And I was like, oh, never thought of that. So I just just stop messing with other stuff.
Yeah.
And the other day I went back and I helped my buddy Mark Mazurowski with his R32 in a Haltech box. And I'm like, man, these guys have come a long way. It was pretty cool.
That's crazy. You're saying that though.
Right.
Talking about something from 10 years ago and now still comparing it to modern stuff, saying, oh, they've almost caught up.
Well, no, they'll never catch up.
Really?
No, they can't because there's not enough.
You sound like Brett.
No, you have to have the margin to have the staff to have the product. And a lot of the stuff, the price point is too low that you're never going to have 60 badass dudes at the same place. 60 badass dudes. You're never going to have that.
Really?
You just can't because you can't afford it. Because you don't have the price point on the front end. You know what I mean? I think dining is probably, I could just use the dining analogy over and over again because when you go to a place to buy a $100 steak, you're going to get a $100 steak. When you go to a place that's got a $14 steak, you can't complain. You bought a $14 steak. Mm-hmm. So, there's some badass companies like Fuel Tech, with the problem that Fuel Tech solved for so many racers in South America. There's so much to be proud of.
Yeah.
So much to be proud of. Those guys kick ass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And you could always, on Fuel Tech's side, the usability, the customer service, and the plug and play.
Sure.
You can always take the market share by using that stuff because I think plug and play is part of the biggest crutch of everybody's struggle. It always has been. I mean, it's like...
No, Motec, you're buying wiring. You have to find a wiring guy that knows how to do it right, and you pay him to do it, and you get it. But
and
they don't have
hope.
Well, now they do have some plug-in applications for later model vehicles. Like if you had a GT350 Mustang or a Lamborghini, the Lamborghini coverage is incredible.
Like the V10 stuff.
Yeah, but regular stuff, hey, I'm gonna put a LS1 in my thing. Like Doug's car, that's a wiring harness job. Brett's car's a wiring harness job. My Mustang is a wiring harness job. My Supra, plug in some stuff.
And there's levels to wiring harness as well, which gets if people have never dealt with the levels to wiring harness, you're like, wait, that's a $300 connector.
Well, if you think about paint, most people that ever had a car painted, they show up to the paint shop and they say, give me a factory quality paint job. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't understand what that means. A factory paint job was applied on a body that had never been dinged or pinged or banged or rusted. And just to get back to a factory quality paint job is a bunch of money. So when people say, hey man, it costs $60,000 to wire a trophy truck just to wire it. You're like, what? It's like, well, yeah, that's what it costs. That's what they pay. There's more money in wiring in my Mustang than the Mustang costs new. And that's the dumb reality of the games we play.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Bogetti Clips YouTube channel. For the full podcast, check us out on Bogetti Studios YouTube and all your audio platforms. Also, hit that subscribe button to not miss out on any of the new Bogetti clips coming up.